This art caused a firestorm in Japan. I see where it's going just from the thumbnail.
Got tagged to a crazy situation on Twitter by Lucas.
Crazy situation.
Tag, in which we've got a tweet from JP Twitter.
Hold on.
Getting over 55,000 likes from Kuji Live, who calls out this specific artwork of Dandadan characters Okarun and Momo. And that artwork had got over 54,000 likes, and lots of support from other Twitter users. However, as mentioned, many people in Japan are not so pleased. Kuji Live's tweet reading, "There are still many racists who say that changing the race of a Japanese character is not discrimination. And as you can see from the quote, they say it's a great drawing because the character is not Japanese."
I was literally about to say, I actually have no problem with this. I'm going to back it up a bit just so you can see the picture.
And
I don't really have a problem with this, honestly. I don't really care. It's like, it's a fan art. And if people want to make fan art of like whatever, I don't really give. I think the problem here is that if you did this the other way, you would get crucified online. If you took like any black character and you did the exact same thing, they would fucking drag you out and fucking shoot you in the streets. And you know I'm telling the truth. They would do this. The same people who are like, this is the greatest thing ever, those same people would drag you into the streets and fucking shoot you for this.
Japan are not...
I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. Internet crucified. The equivalent of it. Wait, did they say that? That is kind of fucked up, actually. To say like, wow, this is better because they're not Japanese. That's kind of fucked up. That is kind of racist, honestly. Like if you said something like that, that's kind of fucked up.
If you point this out, you'll be called a racist. Their IQ is too low to even understand what discrimination is.
True. That is very true. I feel like a lot of people, they're so caught up in like what they believe in. It's so like unchangeable. No amount of logic fucking works. You know what I mean? It's like they cannot parse like the possibility that like their worldview is wrong and not consistent.
But Kuji Live wasn't done there, as he went and made this second tweet. Another user responding saying not all foreigners, but those with certain politics.
We're all caught in that, I think. I don't think everyone is. If it turns out I'm wrong about something, then I'm wrong about it. It's like, I don't see that, like, it's not hard for me to say. Of course I want proof. For instance, like if God himself came down and told me I was wrong about something, then yeah, I'm wrong. Do you see what I mean? I wouldn't like try to argue against like the undisputed facts of something.
I'm Hispanic born and raised in USA. Manga and anime have been a part of my life since I was a toddler. Recent events have honestly infuriated and saddens me to see the disrespect Japan has had to deal with from Westerners. Conversely, this user going against...
Yeah, because didn't they have like, wasn't it like the girl from Pokemon Sword and Shield, the water gym leader, didn't they like make a version of her, but like her skin was like slightly lighter and then fucking everyone went insane? Didn't that happen?
G Live's tweet saying, it's not that deep. The person made a...
Yeah, so there's like no consistency. That's the problem.
Black version because they love the characters and want to see them in a similar skin tone. I don't get how you jump through hoops to end with racism as a conclusion.
A person, okay, hold on, it's not that deep. A person made a black version because they love the characters and want to see them in a similar skin tone. Yeah, I actually have no problem with this. I don't think this is like really that big a deal. Am I crazy?
So here's the thing. I took a look at the profile of the person who made...
Yeah, the double standard is the issue. That's the issue. It's not the fan art of a person like saying like, oh, I just, you know, it'd be neat to see like how they would look like if they were like the same race as me. Like, I don't think it's a little weird. I think it's a little weird. I don't think it's inherently bad. I think what makes it bad or not is like the motive behind it. Does that make sense? It's a little narcissistic, I think. Doing like that action is like a little narcissistic, but I don't think it's necessarily racist.
The art of Okarun and Momo. And from what I saw, like 99% of the art that they draw of anime characters.
It's always fucking dogs.
Characters in
these games, always dogs.
I think if they really did like all these characters the way they are, that there'd be more variety. But instead, almost every single time they draw one of these characters, it's an altered version, in which it's pretty understandable that Japanese people might take a look at that and come to the conclusion that these people don't like the characters the way they are, and that they might not like Japanese people either. And other Japanese users would respond to the artwork in different ways. For example, this one, posting Okarun and Momo and saying, I'll put it back. Finally, a tweet pointing out hypocrisy reads, they'll gladly bully a Japanese artist into oblivion for drawing Marina a shade lighter than usual, and then go and do this. Rules for thee, but not for me. Which, by the way, is referencing a situation that did actually happen, where the creator...
I remember when this happened.
Posted this art of Marina.
This was Wait, actually, wait, no, it's not this one. Sorry, this isn't the one I was talking about.
A flood of responses on Twitter from various people harassing him, something I covered in the video.
This is Splatoon? I don't know that much about
including
Splatoon.
one tweet posting this artwork saying, "We're gonna have to kill this guy."
See, that's a little unhinged. That's unhinged.
Of course, they might argue that it's just a joke, but even if they want to use that defense, it's pathetic.
I mean, that's that's the one I was talking about. The Pokemon one is the one I knew.
Anyways, let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning in.
All right, let's watch like part 2. So this is actually like a 3-parter.
So a few days ago, we were talking about this art of Okrun and Momo, which has now collected over 90,000 likes. However, many people in Japan are not happy with this art. For example, this tweet with over 70,000 likes. Once again, it reads, "There are still many racists who say that changing the race of a Japanese character is not discrimination." And as such, you can see from the quotes, they say,
"We gotta kill this guy" is from a meme template. Oh, is it Clockwork? I see.
"Great drawing because the character's not Japanese. If you point this out, you'll be called a racist."
I see. So it's actually just a meme. I can see how it's easy to take that out of context.
"Their IQ is too low to even understand what discrimination is." There was also this response getting over 370,000 likes, reading simply, "Yo, I'm Japanese. Stop making Asian characters black. We're not Disney characters." In the responses to that post, I saw...
Dude, the funniest thing about that whole thing, I think they're talking about The Little Mermaid. If you guys aren't familiar with like this part of history, Irish people were actually incredibly discriminated against in America, like really bad. So it was kind of funny that like, I feel like there's even less kind of Irish like redhead characters. There's not that many. And then like, that's the one that they were like, yeah, that's the one we're going to switch out. Like, it's kind of funny, actually. Like, funny in like a dark way.
Some people very confused by the Disney comment. So for anyone confused, they're likely referring to how Disney has race swapped characters. Anyways, there was then this tweet that I also showed in the prior video where this Japanese user back and post Okrun and Momo. I believe when I showed that tweet in my prior video, it had a few hundred likes. Well, since then, it's gotten over 210,000 likes, as well as this response to it with 69,000 likes reading, "When Akawa Bukubu Sensei drew Ida from Splatoon 2, he had a slightly lighter skin tone, so everyone made a big fuss about it being racist, but then they're happily making Japanese characters black and justifying it.
Yep.
Their double standards are ridiculous. Which one is discriminatory?" So they're citing that Splatoon situation that I've talked about a few times on this channel, where the creator of Pop Team Epic had made this Marina art and then received a tremendous amount of insults from people on Twitter, including this tweet, which was like basically sending him a death threat. The artist had even made this response saying, "Regarding the content of this
I get banned.
I received a response that this was racism against black people because the character's skin is depicted as lighter than in the original work. I also believe that if Ida were human, he would be black. Sorry, my coloring skills are poor, so it's not accurate." Of course, this is a very talented and successful artist, and his coloring skills are certainly not poor. Regardless, he felt the need to make that tweet and apologize to the mob. And for many years, Japanese artists would get harassed on Twitter, and many of them would apologize or delete the artwork, etc., etc. But it seems like also over the years, more and more Japanese people have been sick of this.
I was gonna say that, like, basically this thing always comes up specifically when they try to make a character black. If they slightly like change like the skin tone of a character to make them like more tan, like nobody gives a shit. It's specifically if it's like a black character or they're making a character black. It always causes this problem.
Sort of treatment.
You know what I mean?
Also sick of the double standards. So it seems like lately we're seeing more and more of them push back. Now returning to the Okrun and Momo art situation, things ended up getting crazier because the English voice actor for Okrun decided to get involved. Changing his profile pic on Twitter to that art of Okrun and saying "this is fire" and thanking the artist. And
probably not a good idea.
Indeed, in his bio, we can see it.
There's two things here. Okay, guys? Let's be a little bit fair here. There's two things here. Do I care if a voice actor, like, who's like, you know, that's kind of cool. I like that. I want to make that my profile pic. I don't think there's a problem with that, honestly. I don't really give a shit. The issue here is it a good idea from like a business standpoint? I don't know if that's a good idea from a business standpoint.
Says he, him, voice actor, Dandadan, Okrun. In another tweet, we can get further context.
See, the problem is this shouldn't be an issue. I think in like my ideal world, this wouldn't be an issue at all. Like nobody would give a shit if someone does that. But, oh, yeah, that's cool. They took the character that you're voicing and like, you know, they made it like kind of like the same race as you, and like, you want to put that as your profile picture. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is you gotta know that this is a heated topic, especially all of the discourse that this is gonna have. People are gonna fight over this, right? So by changing your profile picture to that, you're essentially like there's a gunfight going on and you're like, you know, I got this job as like a voice actor. It's like really cool. Like, let me step into this fucking shit, right? And then you're gonna get shot. Does that make sense? There's already the war going on. So regardless of like how you feel about it, there is a battle going on between, people saying like, hey, you know what, you're being inconsistent with what you did. Fuck that shit. And then now they're squabbling because you have to understand, like, the other side got crucified. So now the other side's like, wait a minute, you're doing the same thing you crucified us for. So now there's like a battle going on, and then you're like basically putting yourself into a position where you're like in the middle. So like it's gonna be you're gonna draw fire. That's just how it is.
As here we see the voice actress Anaris Q changing her profile pic to that art of Momo and going on to say, new profile pic, had to couple profile pic with AJ Beckles VO, and going on to credit the artist. AJ's response saying had to complete the pair with my girl, and his tweet getting 39,000 likes. However, you may have noticed that in some of those screenshots, AJ's profile pic is no longer that art of Okarun, as it seems like within 24 hours or less, he actually changed it to a different profile pic. A tweet explaining that, saying, my profile pic is now a fan drawing based off me doing a silly Okarun pose. An Afro-Latino man, which I think is pretty cool. I hope you guys like it. Although that tweet was later changed to instead say,
interesting.
My profile pic is now a fan drawing based off me, an Afro-Latino man.
It's that's a smooth exit, honestly.
I hope you guys like it. As of recording, Anaris' profile pic is still Momo, and we can get more context on roles that she's played in her bio that reads voice of Mirko, My Hero Academia, Lynette Genshin, Fei Xiao Honkai Star Rail, Nessa Pokemon, Kimberly, Street Fighter 6, JJK, Dora, and she/they.
Very smooth exit from the other guy.
Providing context to her role in Dandadan, saying that she's the English voice of Muko. As for AJ Beck, you'll have to come to your own conclusion as to why you think he changed his profile pic so swiftly. Maybe he decided that he was not helping the situation, thinking he was fanning the flames or something like that, and therefore decided to change his profile pic and not get further involved. However, there were also some other things that happened. Once again, come to your own conclusion, but here's the rest of the information. In the responses to his tweet about changing his profile picture, we can see a number of tweets like these. This one, for example, saying, as a black guy myself, I stand with Japan when I say some of y'all need to be stopped, and posting a few images of prior tweets that AJ had made. Every time there is a black actor cast in a role in fantasy where the source material version is lighter skin, someone always has something to say about it. So tiring. It doesn't affect the character whatsoever. It's okay. And the other one reading, the reason white people in most cases shouldn't be playing POC isn't a matter of color. It's culture. Speaking for black people, we know what a barbershop sounds like on Sunday, what a hot comb smells like when it's going through our hair. It's not the color, it's the culture.
Let's pick one. Which one do you want? Do you want the world where you can only act as like your own race? Or do you want the world where anyone can act whatever role? Just pick one. I literally, whatever. You pick. You guys pick one and you stick with it. No more white people voicing black characters. Okay, fair enough. No more black people voicing Japanese characters. None. Take it all out, right? Just pick one. Me personally, you want to know which one I prefer, which one Leaflit prefers? I prefer the world where you're a fucking voice actor and the whole point is that you're voicing a character that you're not like. It's called acting. Am I crazy? It's called acting. That's the whole point. So why don't we give it whoever is the best actor? That's what I think. But if you want to make it a fucking race game of you can only act in the roles of your race, then let's make that the case for everybody. If you're black and you want to voice a Japanese character, too bad. If you're Japanese and you want to voice a black character, too bad. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like they don't apply this the other way. You want to know my real take on this, guys? My real take? I watch subs. I don't have to deal with this. I get my Aoi Yuki. I get like all my amazing like voices. I don't have to worry about any of this drama. I'm just saying, I'm kind of removed from this, okay? But all I'm saying though is let's pick one and be consistent with it, whichever they want. Again, I told you the one I prefer. And if you have any sort of brain cells, if you have slightly higher than room temperature IQ, see, it doesn't make any sense, and all it is a power play to like shame people into give themselves benefits. That's all it is. Literally just people trying to get benefits for themselves, make it easier for themselves to get jobs and make it harder for other people to get jobs. They're literally trying to limit the job pool, the target job pool for their own things while still being in other people's job pools. That's all this is. You know what? This is actually grifting. And if you think about it again for like more than 2 seconds, you'll see that I'm right. You'll see I'm right. This is all bullshit and they're all full of shit. They don't give a shit at all about any of this stuff. Because you can apply the same thing to them. Oh, well, culture? Okay, well, what did he say? The reason why white people in most cases shouldn't be playing a POC is a matter of culture. Okay, well then, you can't be playing Japanese characters. Why are you playing a Japanese character? You don't know anything about Japanese culture. You didn't live in Japan. What are you talking about? Fucking get mad at me for it. I'm just calling it how it is. That's the truth. And, hate me if you want. But this is the truth. It's obviously the truth. Anyone with a set of eyes and ears and a fucking brain, you can see that that's what this is, because it's not consistent. And so whenever things don't make sense, what do? Follow the money. Where's the money? I want to make more money because I want more jobs.
What a hot comb smells like when it's going through our hair. It's not the color, it's the culture. And so, as mentioned, many people in the responses and even elsewhere on the internet began sharing those various tweets of AJ. However, the situation also proliferated back over in Japan too, as we would then have this tweet from Shin responding to that prior tweet that AJ made where he talked about changing his profile pic to that altered version of Okarun. Shin going on to say this and getting over 17,000 likes. Please spread the word. This is a declaration by the overseas voice actors that they support, quote, the racism that disrespects the original work by turning characters black and excluding Japanese people, unquote.
I think this is a little much, honestly. The problem is a double standard. The double standard is what's causing this. I think it's a little much. This response, a little hard.
Characters black and excluding.
But I understand it. I understand why it's like that. It's because of the double standard.
Japanese people, unquote. Change the icon image of the X account to, quote, a Japanese exclusion blackening.
You can't blame them, exactly.
It expressed blasphemy against the original work and discrimination against Japanese people. This is an international issue.
By their own logic, this is true. Does that make sense? What this person right now is talking about is true under the logic of the other person.
Officially, please remove this voice actor from his role immediately. Some of the responses to Shin's tweet including, y'all single-handedly managed to red pill Japan just by being obnoxious. Conversely, however, this tweet seems to be upset by Shin's tweet saying, the Japanese nerds are starting to get on my nerves. And this response from Zero Dozer talking about localization issues as well, saying, now the Japanese know what the
irony of this woke anti-racist movement is it has made and will further make people considerably more racist than it was. Back in the day, when me and my friends were playing and people were like calling each other like all the slurs in the world, like you had like a black person on your team, and you had people calling them the N-word, and then you had that black person calling the other people like whatever the hell, like shut up, like, you know, C word, and you had like you had that going on. People were far less racist, like in actual belief. Like sure, people like crack jokes at each other, but like nobody meant any of it. Like they were just fucking around. The whole let's make people less racist is actually increasing the levels of actual racism.
Localization industry thinks of them. My suggestion, make a move to get these losers out of their jobs. People both in the West and East are sick of these racist psychopaths. Oh.
No one cared in the 2000s, but then the PC culture exploded under Obama, and then everything became racist, sexist, or some type of phobe throughout the 2010s. I'm talking about society. I'm talking about people. Like there's a lot of like openly racist people now. That like when I mean openly, I mean people that are literally like, hey, this like room that we're in is not for white people. Racism has and will exist into the future. The only time that racism will go away is if there's another species. In the future, there's like literal aliens from Mars, then we'll be racist against them. But if you're talking about human racism, will always exist until that day comes. Because it is in human nature to like stick with like people that are similar to you and to other people that aren't. It's safer. It's like it's a biological thing. That thing will always exist. And it's kind of up to us to be able to like filter that out and control that. As humans, you have animalistic instincts, and the whole point is controlling that. Like the N-word had far less power back then. And so what I'm saying is like now you can see that it's becoming far more societally acceptable to be racist towards each other. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm just gonna start.
Over on Arco Taku in action, a top post would get made saying, Ken Takakura, Dandadan English VA supports blackwashing art, also thinks white VAs can't voice POC, but not vice versa. English voice actor again exposing racism and hypocrisy, again showing we need to clean house the voice acting industry. And going on to post the tweets that we took a look at earlier, just for a refresher, the ones where AJ had said, every time there's a black actor.
The N-word is a wrong hill to die on with that, but I get you. I honestly, like, I'm gonna be real with you guys, I don't see a difference. I don't know why the N-word has like some magical fucking property that it's like you can say all the other ones, but like this one word is like it blows you up. I don't understand. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It should be the same as all the other ones. Like the fact that like you can go on, I'm not gonna say it, but like obviously you can go on Twitch and say, you know, the term for a fucking biscuit that you eat and is crispy. You can say that with impunity on Twitch. But then if you even once you say the N-word, you're fucking nuked. You see what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Cast in a role in fantasy where the source material version is lighter skinned. Someone always has something to say about it. So tiring. It doesn't affect the character whatsoever. It's okay. The reason white people, in most cases, shouldn't be playing POC isn't a matter of color. It's culture. Speaking for black people, we know what a barbershop sounds like.
It's fucking goddamn power word kill, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, you say that word, it's over for you. It's like saying Voldemort.
What a hot comb smells like when it's going through our hair. It's not the color, it's the culture. Getting top responses such as, imagine a white person saying all this, they'd lose their job, receive death threats to them and their family, and would probably be blacklisted.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if a white person says the same thing. They'll lose their job. If you flip everything the other person said, if you flip this around, and that's what I mean. That's the injustice. That's what doesn't make sense. It doesn't logically track.
They'd lose their job, receive death threats to them and their family, and would probably be blacklisted from the industry for good. Satirically, someone says, "Excuse me, sir. I noticed you inadvertently used terminology blacklisted in your post. We don't use white/black to refer to good or bad anymore. It's 2024, chud." And another saying, "What a frickin' racist thing to say. Bad anymore. It's 2024, chud." And another saying, "What a frickin' racist thing to say."
When did people start saying chud? I've been like hearing that a lot lately. I always get called a chud.
Quote, all black people have the same...
It sounds nasty. Like, people always call me a chud. It sounds so nasty. It sounds like a small fat penis. That's what it sounds like, the word chud. It sounds like it, or it's like a little fish or something, like a little fat fish.
Speaking for black people, who the heck made you king of the blacks? And this one saying, he changed his profile pic to a fan art of himself. I guess his agency told him to shut up. And that cycles me back to what I said earlier in the video about coming to your own conclusion here. Why do you think he changed his profile pic back and so fast? Maybe he was like, you know what, this is not good. Like, I'm making a mess out of this, so he changed it back. Or maybe it really is like his agency telling him to shut up. Although that does seem kind of unlikely. A lot of these English voice acting companies seem like they would support the tweets that AJ made, if anything. Maybe it was the whole thing causing people to look into the history of what he's posted and not wanting all that attention. Or maybe it was the tweet going on in Japan where people are calling for him to lose his job. Or some combination of all that, who knows? Leave your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this coverage, and if you did, consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in
Okay, there's one more.
The
this
situation is it. Surrounding this Dandadan edit, as
Japan's threat has terrified English voice actors.
As well as the voice actor AJ Beckles, the English voice actor.
Is X replacing 4chan? I don't think that'll ever happen, honestly. X is above ground. X is above ground, 4chan's underground, so there's no way.
For Okrun in Dandadan is actually continuing to proliferate. Things are still getting even crazier. Another important thing to note regarding these sort of edits is that tensions have been building for literal years. I saw
look at blue sky when I want to fall asleep.
People thinking that this was like the first time this sort of situation has occurred, and that's absolutely not the case.
How are these missing?
What happen now is really the culmination of Asian artists being sick of double standards and sick of how they've been getting harassed for literal years by the same groups of people that have these double standards, which is also something that I've been covering routinely on this channel for years. So many of you are probably very familiar with this stuff, but just to very quickly give a few previous examples, there was a situation where an Asian artist drew Nessa.
This is what I was talking about.
And Nessa was depicted lighter than she's usually depicted, to which this artist received tremendous harassment. Another time there was an artist...
What does it say? Hold on, what? Your account will be gone by noon? People are so...
tremendous harassment.
People are crazy.
Time, there was an artist who drew Kaya from Genshin Impact, and similarly, this artist was accused of lightening Kaya, to which this artist received also tremendous harassment, but on top of that...
I really hate these posts where they say, I fixed it. Fuck you mean you fixed fan art? Fan art is whatever the person made, however they want it. That's fan art. You freaking idiot.
To people on Twitter ripping this person's art and editing Kaya to be darker than this artist depicted them as. Eventually, that artist deleted their entire account. There was another situation where an artist drew Kaya from Genshin Impact as well as D-Luke and some of the female characters. Maybe that's like Jean and Lumine or something. And as you can see, the art is literally in black and white. But that didn't stop these weirdo Twitter police, these terminally online freaks.
It's just cringe, dude. They're just like doing it for attention. You know what I mean? It's like they're taking like someone's art and be like, I fixed their skin color, fixed, and they post it like for likes. God, it's so cringe.
From harassing this artist, saying that they didn't draw Kaya dark enough, despite once again the art literally being in black and white. And they insulted this artist and took the art, editing it to make Kaya black. For some reason, they also made D-Luke black as well, seemingly just to mess with and harass the artist. The artist even asking them to stop, to which they doubled down. And ultimately, the artist decided to delete their entire account. As you can see from one of the final tweets that artist made, they were talking about how these people...
I don't know why, but like artist drama is always the most cringe. It's like every time I see it on like X and stuff, like artist drama is just, it's incredibly cringe. Like every single fucking time. It's like, it gives me like a physical reaction. Like every time I have to read artist drama.
Causing them tremendous amounts of stress, and all they wanted to do was post the art that they made for people and themselves to enjoy. There's actually even more to that situation without jumping down the entire rabbit hole, but one of the main people who harassed that artist would go on throughout the years to harass numerous other artists, also make a bunch of alt accounts where they would harass people and continually play victim, and doing this really weird thing where they would constantly change their age. Sometimes they would say they're like 16, then they'd say they're 13, things like that. And a lot of people would defend this person, saying like, oh, they're just making edits, it's not a big deal. But eventually they became so notorious for all of this stuff, including one of the final situations being when they harassed a looming artist and tried to get her to take her life, that nobody was defending this person anymore, and they had been completely exposed by various people on Twitter, including myself in a video that I made covering the situation, and the harasser getting a taste of their own medicine and going on to delete every single one of their accounts. I'll give you one more final example here as something that's a little bit different from the sort of things that we've covered so far, and then we'll move on to the current news. So in this final example, there was an Asian artist who drew ship art of Genshin Impact characters, to which they got harassed for simply drawing straight ship art. The people harassing them all offended that this artist was not drawing Yuri. To be quite frank,
I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like I like Yuri. Like I'm a big fan of Yuri, but like the Yuri community is fucking ridiculous sometimes. Like they're fucking crazy. Like you will not find like a crazier community than like the Yuri community. Like they're fucking insane. Like if you draw like a character that's actually straight, but then they're like shipped like in a Yuri ship, and then you draw them like anywhere like straight, they get so fucking pissed. It's so weird. This happened like with Caesar actually in Zenless. So there was a character named Caesar King, and she's like a strong like tomboy kind of girl. She's very cute, by the way, very cute. She's so cute. I love her. Anyway, she came out, and then it was revealed that she was straight because they came out with like a music video later where she was basically like being lovey-dovey like over a guy, and she was like reading like manga, like kind of like romance manga, and she was like fantasizing about like having a boyfriend and stuff like that, and like being in a romantic situation, and the Yuri people got fucking pissed. Just ship them anyway. Like, who cares? If they're straight, who cares? The ultimate power of shipping is that it doesn't fucking matter, right? You just do it because that's like your headcanon, and like, who cares, right? But then like people have lost this ability, so like they need it to literally be gay. This is the problem, is people can no longer like use their you know what, maybe that's the problem, guys. Maybe I found it. Maybe they don't have an imagination. Maybe that's the problem. Is this because like we stopped reading books? We stopped reading like kids don't read books nowadays. Like nobody like uses their imagination. Like when I was a kid, I went into the woods like with my friends, and like we pretended like we were like an RPG party, and like we went on adventures, and like I did all that shit as a kid and like read books, and like now I have an imagination. Do they like not have an imagination? I wonder if that's it.
All this stuff
maybe
is so
I've cracked the case.
Even just explaining it is making me like in disbelief, even though I've talked about
Thanks
this
for the follow
stuff
pizza.
before. It's just all so weird, man. I seriously don't know what's wrong with these Twitter police types of people. And keep in mind, those are only a few examples of videos I've made covering this sort of thing for years. There's probably well over a dozen videos I've got on topics like this. And so after years of this stuff going on, people are sick of artists getting harassed for drawing a character a bit lighter, etc., and the double standards that Twitter police have when they're darkening characters. This once again now taking us to the recent situation with the Dandadan art, and how many people in Japan were calling this a racist depiction, to which the English voice actor for Okarun
found the secret,
changed
guys.
his profile pic, that depiction of Okarun with a darkened skin, but it being a very momentary thing, I believe lasting less than 24 hours, as many people in Japan began to call for this person to lose their job, and other people dug up racist tweets that this voice actor had made, once again pointing out the Japanese tweet demanding for AJ to lose his job now has over 127,000 likes on Twitter and over 62 million views on Twitter. For comparison, just 2 days ago when I talked about that situation, that tweet had around 17,000 likes. In other words, the situation, as mentioned previously, is continuing to proliferate, and AJ has also taken his next action as well, that being deleting his entire Twitter account.
Oh no.
Although it does seem to be a temporary thing based off statements that he has made on his Blue Sky account that we'll take a look at in a moment. Before we do that, here's some of the responses at the top from Japanese people. This one reading, instead of taking over Japanese works, he should create original manga with black protagonists. A rather upset response to that would read, oh my bad, I didn't know they broke into the author's office, held him at gunpoint, and hijacked the manga, forcing for all the characters to be made black. It's one small piece of art. Y'all are whining like losers for
Thanks
real.
for the follow,
To which
Vraga,
another
thank you.
Japanese person says, not everything must be about you. As you think original version is inferior. You invalidate Japanese people's feelings and call the art small. You don't like if we make black characters Asian, right? Another one.
See, this is the problem now. Now that this happened, now that the shots have been fired, now it's kind of like, okay, now we have to retaliate and like demand equal treatment. So now it's going to be the other side yelling at them for the same thing. And now we've perpetuated like a system where like you can't even make fan art of like a character that you like in like whatever way you want.
One saying, honestly, I just want anime to be entertaining. The original creators are the ones who breathe life into the characters after all. And this one saying, the character that the author brought to life is removed and someone else is introduced. I would like people to understand that if they have no respect for the work, they should not get involved, and that excessive action will only create further division. It seems like if the harassment and double standard stuff wasn't occurring for years, that the tensions would not be so high right now.
That's what I think. Exactly that. Exactly what Hay said there. It's if this hasn't been going on for like so long, I don't think like this would really be a problem. It's because the shots were fired in the past and the shots continued to be fired. And now people are like, wait a minute, you're doing the same thing. And now it's creating like a counter surge, basically.
It's not even just Japanese people who are sick of the double standards. There's been a lot of people in the West of various demographics, including lots of black people talking about how they're also sick of these double standards. That takes us to AJ's Blue Sky account where he says, I deactivated my Twitter so the racists have nothing to interact with. Don't worry, I'm fine, guys. As well as, your boy will be back soon. Maybe he really did deactivate just because of these racist messages that he's referring to. However, when there's a...
The thing is, though, is here's the thing. If you actually believe in that, why deactivate your account?
tweet with over 100,000 likes from Japanese people calling for him to
This like kind of like cowering away, and like I don't think it's a good idea.
lose his job over the recent incident.
In fact, it kind of undercuts your own point, and it makes you look like a pussy, honestly. It makes you look like a huge pussy, and that like none of this actually mattered to you, and that you were only saying it for clout.
As well as other people digging up racist tweets that
Or
he
say
had
you're
made.
wrong. If you actually change your mind, and like people like, you know, you gotta be real here, guys. Like some people make mistakes. People always make mistakes. I make mistakes. Sometimes I say something that's turns out to not be true because, you know, more information comes out and it turns out what I said wasn't true. You just own up to it. Like, you know, oh, I was wrong about that. Like whatever, right? Who cares? People make mistakes. You can change your mind about things.
In the past. It's caused a lot of people to speculate if he's just trying to dodge that stuff. As always, of course, come to your own
Yeah, I've made some really bad mistakes. I thought Obama was a decent president.
conclusion.
It's a huge mistake. Holy fuck.
Something else that I find very interesting is that so far we've actually seen a lack of other voice actors defending AJ. Previously, during situations like this where a controversial situation is going viral in the VA space on social media, it would be very common to see a number of other voice actors also getting...
The funny thing is like I wrote a tweet about it. I wrote a tweet about like how I thought he was good, and then I remembered like later, like many years later, I remembered like when I started streaming, I was like, wait, didn't I write that somewhere? And then I was like, I considered taking it down. Nah, there's no point in taking it down because people can change their minds.
involved. And yet
Fuck it, I don't care.
that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Let me know why you think that might be. Perhaps some of them are actually in disagreement with AJ, or maybe they see how many people in Japan are calling AJ out and they want to avoid that also potentially happening to them. Of course, there's also been this ongoing situation with SAG-AFTRA and general concern
To be fair, I think most modern presidents suck. Just to be 100% fair, I thought almost all the other ones suck too. So
that voice
in my lifetime, they all fucking sucked.
actors have about potentially being replaced by AI voices. So maybe
I'm not like singling out like Obama specifically.
now a lot of them are instead just trying to play things safe instead of getting involved in controversies like they used to, or at the very least dialing it back a bit. And lastly, regarding the person who made the Okarun Momo edit to begin with, there would be other concerns raised by various artists on
I don't think he's perfect, but I think Trump's probably my favorite one.
Twitter. For example, this tweet got over 14,000 likes. So much controversy over this, but my concern is that they sell paintovers/edits of other people's
They
art.
don't make them like
Putting
they
all
used
the
to,
racism
guys.
debate to a side, someone who steals art and sells getting 40k plus followers for it is just sad. What's being referred to is how that person apparently sells black edits for $15 a piece. A response saying,
George W. Bush did have that sweet shoe dodge, though. You know what my favorite one was? There was like this clip where like a balloon pops and like it's like Reagan I think was doing a speech, and then a balloon popped and he said, "You missed me." Was that Reagan? That shit's funny.
watching this dumpster fire unfold is just sad in general.
That's
Sending love
fucking
to the
hilarious.
animators, because I never saw anyone talk about this. To which the OP says people are blinded by hatred, and of course no one has any respect for animators because it's quote-unquote official art, as if it just magically appears and people don't work on it for hours. The other person saying, the more you think about this whole situation, the more things come to mind. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear magically, and they have to work on it for hours and then get overlooked constantly. People attempting to find a middle ground here somewhat. As another response reads, OP can draw. I slid through the media thinking the same thing, because let's be real, that's an edit, not a fan art. Hopefully she sells art and not edits. Fan arts are more appreciated than edits.
Nice try.
And the OP ending by saying, very talented kid. I really hope they start making originals and sell those. That certainly does seem like a wise suggestion, and hopefully things regarding this topic overall can get a more positive conclusion. However, for that to happen, people will need to start being more honest about the double standards that are out there, instead of being in denial about them and or using them as some faux justification to harass people.
Anyway, that was the saga of the art presented by Hirohei. Make sure you guys check out the video, and if you like his new stuff, make sure you give Hirohei a sub. Always making these videos. Hirohei like cranks these videos out like fucking super fast. Look at this. Look at this, guys. One if not multiple videos per day.